All right, what's up, Portland? Zipping up the jacket, trying to stay warm. I'm here, and it's the day after. I'm a little. It's not COVID. It's tear gas. I have that sort of morning after tear gas feeling right now. But I'm outside the Democratic headquarters here, which got rocked. I just published. Julio is works for Town Hall, and he was here, and he captured the black bloc just bashing out the Democratic headquarters here in Portland. And I posted it on my Twitter at @JLeeQuinn. If you don't follow me, check it out. What's bizarre, or I think it was these windows actually right here at the 1 minute, like 18 mark or so. I have it on my Twitter. A guy tries to punch out these windows here, and he's using those carbon fiber knuckle gloves, and he goes to punch it, and he goes, and he goes to the window, and it just ah, ah, it hurts. You know why it hurts? Because it's a double pane window, and you can't punch through double pane windows with carbon fiber knuckle gloves. I mean, maybe you can, but it's probably not a good look. So this is the Democratic headquarters. It says vote up there in Portland. And again, at @JLeeQuinn on Twitter, I posted Julio's video. I was in Sacramento yesterday covering what was two anarchist groups or Antifa groups. They're called Berkeley Antifa and Antifa Sacramento. And I was in Black Bloc marching with them, not in solidarity, but documenting them. And they really didn't have anything to do. In Sacramento, they even came upon a car with a Trump sticker, but there were so many police, bike cops that were behind them, and you had National Guard everywhere with long guns. So Sacramento really wasn't very activated. Nobody really knew what to do. Look at that, red paint. Red paint represents fake blood. There's a little red paint up there, more red paint. Again, this is the Democratic offices in the Democratic Party of Oregon. As you can see, it has that A for anarchy. I'm going to do a little thing too. I'll go to the ICE building too. We can check out how the ICE building was vandalized. If you look at my video from last night, it was the most tear gas I'd seen in a long time. And that's on my Twitter as well, at @JLeeQuinn. Publicreport.org is my website. For those of you who are new, check it out and follow me on Twitter. I was in the Capitol, of course. I've been following, one of the only reporters that has been following both sides of this. I've been following protests on the right and protests on the left, militant hard right and militant hard left. I guess what we would call extremists. It looks like they got the front door too. You know what I just realized? I'm using StreamYard. I could have paid like an extra $10 and got all my video HD from the Capitol. I was the only one to live stream inside the Capitol. That could have been HD. Everything last night of the tear gas plumes and all the craziness here in Portland outside the ICE facility. This could be HD, but it's not, because I didn't pay $7 more when I should have. Just one of these things that slips through the cracks when you're running from city to city. I hope this is the last stop. I do not want to continue doing this. I want to go back to surfing and auditioning for stupid, acting gigs and not running around chasing ninjas. Tired of the ninjas. I really am. Anybody have any questions? Hi back. Any questions about anything at all that's happened over the last 7.5 months? As I said, I've been in over 15 cities. I took a deep dive, just moving around under the cover of protests in Black Bloc with leftist groups. And I was also in DC. I tailed the Proud Boys early on in June to see what the heck they were all about. They are childish, pointless ninjas. Yes, the ninjas are kind of pointless. I would agree with that. I would agree wholeheartedly. If you guys want to see some podcasts of me talking, the Brett Weinstein podcast is doing well. I think it has well over 200,000 views. People are really interested in that because that was right after the Capitol, and I was the only one to live stream in the Capitol. And I have that posted as well at J. Lee Quinn on Twitter. So link up with me there. A couple other podcasts I did. I did Allison Morrow's podcast, Tish Wood's podcast, and then I just talked with Nancy Rommelman as well this morning. It's a very candid conversation. At one point, I even dropped my phone into the comforter, and I don't know if she's going to edit it or not, but it's a very candid conversation about what I saw in Portland, what I've seen in over 15 cities over the last 7.5 months that just wasn't covered by the media because we're in such a polarized time. Even though the right wing tried to cover it, they did not do the best job either because they were trying to politicize and simplify everything. That's where you get all these rumors of a communist takeover, Marxist. It's a little more convoluted and messy than that, and quite frankly, incompetent. It's just more incompetent than the communists are here. Can you give numbers about what? Numbers about how many people last night? There were I told Nancy on her podcast that I saw maybe 200 to 300 people at its height, and then it died down to 100, 150, a little bit before midnight. But there was still when I left, there were still easily 100 people out there. I just had too much tear gas in my mouth, and my clothes reeked of tear gas and so forth. So I don't know what that means. What does this say? Little Joe. I don't know if any of this is political or if this is just regular graffiti. I mean, that could be political, but it doesn't look like any of this is political. I'll go back to the headquarters. Well, there's a law. Someone's actually going in there. So, they went in right when I walked away because they didn't want to get any questions, I assume. That's what you call bad reporting right there, which is walking away when somebody has just driven up who is going in, and I could have barraged them with questions. What do you think about these ninjas? Do you think that that the Democrats can get them to calm down, to vote or participate in our democracy? I don't know. So, any other questions? What do we got? Why does Congress ignore these extreme left riots, but the Capitol riot is an all-out manhunt by the FBI? Not just the FBI, but Twitter and everybody else. I don't know. I am from the left. I do not agree with it. I think that what we saw at the Capitol was a continuous storyline of this hard left and hard right conflict, which actually goes back, as I told Nancy Rommelman, it goes back to the night that Trump is elected. Rioting started in San Francisco, and it carried over in Oakland. So this is all a continuous thing. On my website, publicreport.org, I say that I quote Newton's third law that every action in life has an equal opposite reaction. And what we saw as far as the Capitol explosion, in my mind, and we need to get people to start talking about this seriously, was not white supremacists or any sort of race narrative that has been an excuse for a much more intense crackdown, getting people fired from their jobs and so forth. The race narrative is not true. It's unfounded, in other words. It's unfounded from what I and other photographers saw on the ground. And that crosses party lines. Folks that were neutral observers of the Capitol saw a very different story than you were all told in news media. And as I've said in these podcasts, activist Twitter accounts started generating that news story in the 2 p.m. hour at the Capitol. So it's a very concerted effort from activist Twitter that gets picked up by tabloids, political tabloids, and then is legitimized by TV news. I'm calling this the Twitter to tabloid to TV pipeline. And so that, in short, is my answer. Got a truck coming by here. That's my answer as to why the media is so well manipulated by the left. It's very obvious to me. Where is the outrage from the left about the left? Exactly. Why does Congress ignore these extreme? Yeah, I answered that. It's a lie. Yes, Newton's first law was most in play on January the 6th. The first law. Remind me of the first law. I'm sorry. I have a tear gas hangover. I can't think of it right now, but it's probably something very obvious, right? Like, but yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand why journalists decided not to be journalists anymore this year. Were they that afraid of Trump? Were they that the law of inertia? I was gonna say, yeah, that I'll look into that more. But what I saw was definitely a reaction. I saw a movement of people who wanted to be heard, were tired of being silenced, and so they spoke out against media demonization, big tech, censorship. And what did they get? They got more media demonization and more big tech censorship. Meanwhile, these turkeys are able to get away every which way with the same tactics. Now, granted, you have a much different political context, and I'm just talking in terms of tactics. There's so much that was similar between what I've seen on the left and the right, and so hopefully now that we've transitioned, we'll be able to talk about that for crying out loud. I can't believe that people just gave up on discussing things in an intelligent manner. So this is it. This is outside the Democratic headquarters in Portland. I'm going to call this one early. I'm going to go over to ICE. I'll do another live hit in like a half hour from the ICE facility if you can still see the damage there. But go to my website, publicreport.org, and hit me up on Twitter at JLeeQuinn, JLeeQuinn. You could see my video from Sacramento yesterday, but also everything that I saw last night in Portland, the plumes of tear gas, the big time riot outside of the ICE facility. So that's going to be it for me here. Stay in touch and take care, everybody.